So I wanted to do an overview of how we use Zenaton. So basically, Fabulous is um, um, like a personal coach. We provide training programs for users. We help them change their behavior. So this is proposed in the mobile app, and so users will be creating routines, adding habits into them, and they will be prompted every day to complete their habits. So this is the main idea of Fabulous. And then we started adding more social part to it. So we launched what we call life challenges. So users will be starting the same program with the other users, and they will have a feed so they can start discussions, share images. And we wanted to have some animation to this feed from the Fabulous team, but we are a small company and we have limited resources. So we thought about automating that feed. So the idea of automation is to create like more engagement in the feed, prompting the users to do more actions. Like every day, sending a message, the users will receive a notification and asking them to do um, a small thing or like share images, like here using users sharing their drinks of because they are doing like meditation challenge, and we ask them to drink tea. So we ship this using Zenaton, so it's like very simple workflow. Um, the rules are defined in some Airtable, so we know like for each challenge what content we want to do and after how many hours. We that you want to associate this link, and then we use Zenaton to run a sequence. And basically, it's very simple. Like we start publishing a post, then we have a wait, and so on and so forth. This is a very simple usage and very powerful because we have challenges starting every day. So you see the here like um, it's not manageable with a human, but it's manageable with automation. So this is really great. When something bad happens in our backend, we can recover the seconds when it failed. So this is really great. Um, and then we also use, I can share some code, but it's really simple. It's interacting with the Airtable and then interacting with our backend. So we iterate on over the post that we want to run, and then we have a switch case if it's we do the post or it's a wait. So very simple. We use also Zenaton to do some marketing automation. So when someone installs the app, do not finish the onboarding, we start emailing them. So for that, we use also Zenaton. So from our backend, we get the information that someone's installed the app but did not finish the backend, the onboarding. Sorry. So we start what we call the first week flow. So and then here we run experiments. So first action is on the workflow is, let me find it. This one is interesting because it's more complex workflow. So the, here in handle method. So first thing is we assign the user to a variant. So it's using an A/B testing library. So we get to know if the user is should receive the control experiment version or any variant. And we have tracking enabled, so we'll be sending events to our backend. So this will allow us to measure the impact of the variant, if it's more successful than the control or not. And then we send the first email, and then we have a sunset strategy. If the user do not interact with the email we send them, we will be holding the workflow. If the users open the email, will we resume the workflow? So we'll be sending from our backend to the workflow an event, and here it's triggered internally. So changing the state of the workflow, so we can resume the execution of the workflow. So we send them a first email. We see how they interact with the emails, if they buy or they resume the onboarding, and then send them if they don't interact with the just open it and don't complete the expected action. We continue following with the emails. And then we can. This is our growth team can decide where to stop the email. So it's a lot of config. Also, we use Airtable as like UI. So if it's configure set up in Airtable, and then fetch it from our backend that starts the workflow. So it's here. We define the values for the variants, and this is published to our backend. And then when the user installs the app, it triggers the workflow. So that's the second type of usage from we use, and we have a third usage from Zenaton. We use it for data processing. So let's get back to the presentation. So the third usage is we were using Apache Composer. To do data processing. So we have we are collecting data for our user acquisition team when we run ads in Facebook or Google UAC. We collect performance data from these networks, and we store it in our Redshift cluster. So our user acquisition team wanted to do some analysis to see if the ad, how they are performing and what's the return on investment. And to do this, we're using Apache Airflow, and because it seemed suitable for that use case. But it was very hard to use and very complex with errors without it's not managed. So we have the idea to switch from Airflow to Zenaton. And basically what we did is just implement the bash task. So it's like a Node.js function that runs any bash script. So we have and we use it to code different scripts. For example, extract the data and then run a notebook and then update a table with the results. So and it really worked because with this kind of processes, the tasks takes very long. So if just the notebook task fails, you won't restart from scratch, like getting the data and then you have 1 hour of waiting to just get the results. And that really worked really well with the help with the Zenaton team. We were able to scale it, like we process, like in 6 hours, we process like between 200 creatives a day. And it's heavy processing. So and the processing is hosted in Google Cloud Kubernetes cluster. So that's all from Fabulous, how we use Zenaton. I hope you have questions, and I will happy to answer them.
Thank you, Amine. You covered a lot of different use cases there. Does anyone have any questions? Don't be shy. I think it's really cool how you guys have used Airtable as basically like a configuration layer for your Zenaton workflows. That's really innovative, and has given us ideas as well about, sometimes there are variables that you want to be able to control outside of the workflow code. And I guess I'd be curious to know what are some of the surprising results of once you implemented workflows and the next steps in terms of new use cases that became available or things that you added on later that you hadn't expected in the beginning.
Usually we start with first version, first iteration of a workflow, and it's a success. So our growth team or marketing team or content team, they want to iterate on that. So now what we need is like more controls. That's why we use Airtable to have this kind of configuration and then run experiments. So basically we start like the main version and then we iterate on top of that and adding more configuration, more control. So our internal teams can iterate on the first version we implemented.
Okay, so once you implement it, then they start asking for more things and you just layer it on top.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Right. All right. Well, anyone? Any questions? No? All right. Well, thank you, Amine. Appreciate your time. And